Minecraft is an amazing game with an incredible modding scene, which is why I'm gonna torture myself with one of the harder ones out there. This is RLCraft. I have played it in the past, and in said past, I have failed horribly and died repeatedly, over and over and over. So with more knowledge in the biggest direction I've ever had, I'm gonna try this again. This has been way more than 4 hours. I gotta call a doctor. But it's just so hard. And hold up, if you have never played RLCraft before, or even watched it like me, don't worry, I'm gonna try to explain some of this the best I can, which isn't that good, but it's still something. I don't want to waste any more of your time, so let's get right into it. Starting off, we end up in a red desert as our spawn point. So, I had to get myself some sticks and stones, which yes, they break your bones, but in this mod pack, everything does, so it doesn't fucking matter. While getting this stuff, I eventually noticed this giant sea worm and crab guy fighting it out. I don't know what's going on here, but eventually I just kind of had to leave because I was gonna get my ass kicked if either of them saw me. And after witnessing murder, I did the same thing any good citizen would do and ignored it. Just went off and tried to explore my surroundings, see what was going on. Eventually, I did notice though that I was warming up, as there's a temperature mod in this, which means that if you get too hot, you need to cool off, and going to water is a nice solution, but personally I have terrible aim. And also, I am stupid, because I ended up drowning. Introducing the first fun kooky mechanic of this mod pack. There's no set world spawn point. You respawn in random spots. So I ended up in an ocean where I found a castle. These little castle thingies are actually pretty nice for whenever you're just starting off in a world. They have 3 chests in them that all have beginner loot in it, such as wooden tools and wood itself, which is very helpful since you don't get a lot of it in this mod pack. There's also some wheat on the outside of it, but that's completely indestructible until you level it up. And with that information, I decided to craft a boat and book it, because fuck that, and ended up finding a raft that has slightly better loot, like a recall potion. Yeah, so one of the mods in this mod pack is called Bountiful Wobbles. And whoever made that mod is a huge fan of Terraria, because there's a lot of items just taken straight out of Terraria, and hopefully we get a couple of those later on. Finally, I proceeded to leave that place on a boat, finding a new island to land on, which led me to go down the most tedious and hated phase of the game, the flint tool phase, which includes you breaking gravel until you get flint, taking that flint, breaking against hard rock in order to get flint shards, which you can then use with a stick to craft a flint knife, and with that flint knife you can break grass to get plant fibers, and with those plant fibers you can create plant string, and now with your plant string you can take a flint shard and a stick and make a flint hatchet. But I already had a wooden tool from the castle, so I ignored the flint hatchet and just started mining. And that basically concluded my my first day, other than this one goofy little guy who ended up choking on my big fat walls. And with the start of a new day, I broke the last tree left on this island, because I hate that orange tree-loving fuck.
Did you chop down this tree?
I then left another island in the past, but this time I found a mushroom biome island with a giant rock sphere on it, which I can only imagine is a fallen giant's testicles. But upon further inspection, it turns out the giant's still alive and lives inside of it, and only has one eye. Fucking weirdo. And this place had nothing really good at it, not even a good trip off of any of the mushrooms I could find. Overall experience, maybe like a 2 out of 10. And it was made even worse because when I left, I got boofed by a sea serpent. On the next life, it wasn't as bad because I did end up spawning in a forest, which isn't bad. It's a good one. The only thing is I spawned really close to a dragon's den, and I don't know how else to put this, but I got smoked faster than a pack of cigarettes my dad got this morning. Luckily, this life is a lot shorter, so you're not going to be strung along as long. What happened to this one as I was exploring, I found this goofy little guy right here, called a beholder. What they can do is fly, look at you, and fire a deadly laser at you. And honestly, it wouldn't be that bad. I probably would have been able to avoid one of them, but there was a second one. I died. Again. But the next time was actually pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. I found this little place that I stayed in for a couple minutes, and I left that to start exploring, and oh my god, best decision ever, I found a fucking village. So obviously, I slept there. I set my spawn. I'm no longer gonna spawn in random places. I can make progress now! And starting the morning, After an amazing sleep like that, I decided to explore the village a little bit before I ended up seeing these two fighting. Now, this blue guy's an Aegis. He's basically an iron golem, but he can fly. And this red guy is a Crake. He's an interesting mob, actually. He spawns in rivers, and he will only attack you if you are running nearby, or if you hit him. They can also apparently breed, which makes sense, seeing as how badly he fucked this Aegis. Most of this day was uneventful. I was just spent it talking to the big-nosed buddies around the village. But I eventually left the village, check out the surroundings, and spotted this thing down here, a dungeon. And obviously, I ended up jumping right into it. Now, this place was pretty interesting, so I ended up meeting another new mob, a thing called a trite. And this thing is interesting because it's fucking stupid. So, essentially, what this is just another cave spider, except it gives the wither effect instead of poison. Oh boy, an easier way to die. I was looking for that. I did not go back for my items. Instead, I spent the night just grinding for XP so I can upgrade my skills. I don't think I explained skills yet, have I? So, a lot of items in RLCraft are locked off by a skill wall. In order to bypass this, what you have to do is go to the skill tab in your inventory and use some of your XP points to upgrade a skill that is doing this. Pretty basic, right? It's really tedious and annoying because you need the same amount of XP points as this level you're upgrading it to. So if you want to get to level 8 of a certain skill, you have to sacrifice 8 XP points, which means before that you would have done 7, before that would have been 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. It is a lot of XP to upgrade any given skill. Now, I also encountered my first legendary enemy in this night, and if you don't know what a legendary enemy is but played Fallout 4, you're fucking stupid. Now, what this is essentially a normal mob that is given some kind of catch to it that makes it harder, and whenever they die, they drop cool items. That's really it. Rapid fire mob introduction, go. Crypt Keeper, this is a zombie that does not burn in the sun. It is basically a husk. Gorgomites, annoying bugs that will summon more annoying bugs while you fight it and will sometimes summon more annoying bugs when it dies. Alpha Jousts, this is just like a joust except it's bigger, it does more damage, and it forces other passive jousts around it to be angry. This concludes rapid mob introduction and night 3. On the 4th day, he created the sun, moon, and these are the wrong notes. While the Christian god may have spent the 4th day to create shit, I decided to spend the 4th day absolutely demolishing this random wooden house I found for spare wood. And I'm just gonna skip through this day, because I spent literally almost all of it cutting down this house. After a hard day of labor, I came home, fucked my wife, and tore apart that carpet. And under it, I actually ended up finding something interesting. There was a full set of armor. Iron armor, to be exact. And since I was already upgrading my defense, I just took apart the stand and put the armor in my chest for later whenever I could use it. The 5th day started off with a complete banger. What ended up happening was, while I was picking up some items I had lost on the previous night, I killed a husk and he dropped an interesting item. A thing called a Forbidden Apple. This item is part of the Bountiful Buables mod that I talked about earlier. And as I said before, the creator of this mod really likes Terraria, and this item shows. It is essentially like other items in Terraria that grant immunity to debuff. This one grants immunity to hunger, and on top of that gives you an extra heart. So if you have heartbreak-induced eating disorders, this item is perfect for you. After getting this item, I just decided to do a little bit more exploring since I genuinely haven't done nearly enough in this area, and while fighting some jousts on a hill, I ended up spotting something I was not expecting at all. A little hut at the end of an exposed mine shaft nearby. So I made a button, went inside, and I'm just saying, if this was one of those annoying TikToks where my one goal is to find diamonds, then I'd be perfectly set. Now, the issues didn't start until I decided to go back and secure that bag, because I ended up fighting a joust, but also getting killed by its baby. Now, if you know me, you know I hate babies. I think they're little demons, and I guess I was right because this one turned into a demon. This is a Reaper, not the one from Overwatch. That guy's worse. These guys can go through walls, they have a 2% chance of spawning after you kill an enemy, and a 5% chance to spawn whenever you are sleeping. Fucking terrifying, right? Well, that's why they grant blindness and the fear debuff. Anyways, they're not that hard to beat, but I just ran away from this one because it was very easy. And eventually he despawns, so it's not my problem anymore. But once night hit, a new problem occurred. One of my favorite enemies spawned in, the Banshee. An enemy with 2 giant balls that phases through walls, gives you the fear debuff every time it hits you, and is afraid of eye contact. As long as you stare at these things, they don't come any closer, and they don't do a lot of damage, but if you encounter them in a small space, they're a pain in the ass. This night, I ended up fighting 2 of them, but it's what happened after I killed the second one that is intriguing. Huh? What? What? This is a Spectre, a mob that normally spawns in areas of the void, like the end or at the bottom of your world. But I guess somehow I met some spawn conditions that it did not work in my favor. What this guy does is drags you in with essentially his own gravity, and then he attacks you with his melee attack, which gives you a decay debuff. The decay debuff essentially just blocks your regeneration. Lucky for me, eventually, this guy started fighting an Aegis and ended up really high up in the sky, where he ended up staying for a long time before eventually I looked back up at the sky and he just wasn't there. So probably the biggest threat I had to face in the run so far just ran away. Just like my father did. But unlike my father, I'm not a loser. And I play RLcraft, and I'm about to get my 8th skill point in defense, which would make me able to wear iron armor. Take that. And after killing the last horse I needed to get the XP, I upgraded my defense capabilities to level 8, which means I can finally wear my iron armor. And now, I finally feel protected from my father. Heyo, hope you guys liked that video. If you want to see another episode in this series, I'd say like 30 likes maybe. And speaking of likes, I don't get money off these videos because I consider you guys my sponsor, and because of that, it'd be helpful if you could like, subscribe, and if you'd like to, leave a comment. Anyways, I don't really play RLcraft too much, but this video alone has helped me learn a lot about what happened, just because I was forced to do some research. I'm not gonna make this a long ending, though. I don't want to add a whole 2 minutes to my video again, but hope you guys liked it. Video's over. I'm watching you. Bye.